welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. We are here talking professional wrestling with you, and we are here, of course, on your radio. We are here on your podcasting device, be it iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcasts, and of course also on the YouTube channel.
Hey, yo, I better. All right, hey, it's Dave and Johnny live.
Live.
What's up, man? I'm Dave, he's Johnny. Hey, everybody.
Yes. What's up, everybody? We're watching Survivor Series. This is our Survivor Series watch along. And Daniel Bryan's wrestling the Fiend right now. Whoa,
how about that?
Hey, smacking it. Smack. We're smacking it. Welcome to the Smacking It with Dave. We're smacking each other. Hit me again. Woo! All right. Almighty. Welcome to Dave and Johnny Live. I'm Dave, and he's Johnny.
And we're not quarantined yet, right? Or...
No, this isn't the quarantine.
Who are we talking? We're talking about the Prime Minister, right?
Yeah, well, he's quarantined. The Prime Minister of the country's quarantined. Because his wife has coronavirus.
Yeek.
I mean, good God almighty, this thing is taking over. Obviously, we're going to be talking about it here on the show. We're still doing a show. A lot of people stopped doing shows. A lot of people are running out of stuff to talk about, but there's still a bunch of stuff going on in professional wrestling because the pro wrestling world doesn't stop. At least it hasn't stopped.
Doesn't die. Wrestling goes on.
Somehow,
that's right.
Wrestling has continued. We saw AEW this week. You know, they did a show on Wednesday night.
They'll do a show next week, too.
But Thursday was kind of when everything went down, right? Thursday was when everything hit the fan and everything kind of, the NBA found a player that had coronavirus, so they suspended the season. Tom Hanks.
Fred was on the ball with that.
Tom Hanks had coronavirus.
When Tom Hanks fell, that's when it all went to hell.
Man, once Tom Hanks gets coronavirus, you know shit's real.
When I used to be texting into you, the phone would fall over because you had it just leaning against the cup or whatever, and Johnny would be like, "Someone keeps texting in." But you've come so far, like, and he's really are. Like, I mean, I remember from back in the day listening, you've come just like you've really evolved. You know what I mean? You haven't just like you're like a mixed martial artist now. You started off with a bit of jiu-jitsu, and then you got added little bits to your bow, and he's really are. It's like I'll never ever claim to be a knowledgeable person when it comes to wrestling. I like it. I love watching it, but I wouldn't know. I know probably a lot more about MMA than I would wrestling, but I just love it. I love it, the innocence of it. I love just how everyone else who loves it, they have the same kind of personality. Everyone kind of has that kind of. They haven't lost a bit of their childhood. I think that's important. If you love wrestling, you're keeping that little bit in there. You don't have to become boring just as you get older. You can still like a little bit of something like that. I think that's what everyone who just comment on this show does. I think that's what you guys have. I think it's a brilliant thing. But it's only going to get bigger.
AJ.
This is only going to get bigger. I know it is. Like this has come to the studio here.
Look at all that.
That was cool.
What an intro.
Hey, that was a good intro, right?
Cheers.
Welcome, everybody.
Cheers, whoever made that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We love it.
We're
live.
No.
It's the AEW All Out post show. Let's talk about AEW All Out 2024.
Start. streets. So don't stop now. In the streets. So don't stop now. DJs and MPs. In the always those things are out.
Yes.
Hey, yes, boy.
Yes, boy. Man, I need to find that Pretty Deadly action figures. All right, guys, what's happening?
How's it going? All out. It has happened. It is in the can.
Tony Storm wasn't on this show.
She was not on the show.
No Tony Storm, no Chris Jericho. A lot of people missing from this show, but it was still a very good pay-per-view from AEW. I liked it.
I had a good time.
0 title changes.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Mercedes Moné still champion.
This guy, Dave. What is this? This guy should be banned. Ban him. Ban him immediately. If anybody asks not to be banned, they should be banned right away. That's how I do things. I ban you immediately. I don't even think about it. Just ban. Immediate ban. Okay. Harold Schneider in the chat goes, that show kept me awake, 8.5 on 10. Patrick Deneau says, crazy show. CSL Lawrence says, good evening. Not a rating on the show, but Alex Terrace gives a 3 on 10. What?
3.
Oh, there's Steven. Oh, I could fire Steven. Steven's watching. Uh-oh.
You're fired.
He's one of my employees at my shoot job.
Oh.
I gotta, I can't say anything too wild if he's watching. What time is it? Midnight? Oh, boy. Oh, boy! AEW All Out I thought was a pretty solid program, brother.
I had a great time watching it.
Yeah. The main event was violent, wild,
A little grotesque.
a little grotesque. I think Jim Ross, good old JR, was a little offended
Yeah.
by all the action. It was pretty gross. There was a lot of things that happened on this show that made you kind of go, ooh, what are they doing? I mean, they tried to kill Bryan Danielson, right? They tried to kill him. Jon Moxley put a plastic bag over his head and tried for quite a while and tried to suffocate him with a plastic bag, tried to murder the guy. And then also Hangman Page injected Swerve with a needle in his mouth after removing his grill teeth. He put a needle in his mouth and then injected him with something.
And hit him in the head with a chair.
And then broke a chair over his head. And then the referee was like, all right, this match is over. Like, this is enough. Match ended. And then Hangman won the main event by referee stoppage. It was an incredibly violent match. They both used a staple gun on each other and stapled each other all over their bodies.
And that was
all
the
over
start.
their chest. I mean, that was early in
As
the
soon
match.
as the bell rang, it was like, here's Staples.
It was violent carnage from the beginning. And it would be difficult for me not to call that match of the night, given the drama, the action, the violence, and what they both gave of their bodies to that match and to this show. I mean, they went all out, no pun intended. I mean, they really did. It's like
they lived up to the title.
And it wasn't just them.
No.
They were just given the spot in the main event with all the weapons so they could really shine. But everybody on this show, it's like they heard that the show was called All Out, and they're like, oh, that's a directive. We're going to go all out. We're going to do everything, and we're going to give everybody a ridiculous show, even though All In 10, 12 days ago was fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to come right back with another pay-per-view that's going to be rock solid. And I think overall this show, I'm seeing, Alex Terrace a little low on the end there, but Harold Schneider with an 8.5 on 10, I think is a pretty solid rating. I'm going to give this thing a solid 8. I mean, maybe even an 8.5. It was really good. I'm going to recap this thing here in a minute. We'll go match by match, but let me just run down the results from the pay-per-view. MJF and Daniel Garcia opening the show with a fantastic match.
Yeah.
Like, that was really
match was
good.
nuts, yeah.
It was really good. MJF may have pooped himself. We got to talk about that, okay? The Young Bucks wrestled Claudio and Wheeler. It didn't quite hit, but we weren't
And
really.
it kind of sets up later in the night, I guess. I guess it's necessary, but yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't have to happen, or it didn't
No.
have to be 15 minutes.
Right, because their boy Jack Perry was wrestling Claudio and Wheeler's boy, supposedly Bryan Danielson, and they had to do the whole angle with Claudio and Wheeler and Moxley at the end of the show.
But
so I guess you had to have the Young Bucks and Claudio and Wheeler have that tag team match. Probably the last time you'll see Claudio and Wheeler as a tag team.
Yeah.
They did not win the tag team titles. The Young Bucks retained. The match was what it was. Will Ospreay over Pac was tremendous.
Yeah, excellent match.
That could be match of the night. And then Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in a Chicago street fight. You go, whatever. And then it was crazy.
Yeah,
It
nonstop.
was so good. It was the second most violent match of the night after Swerve and Hangman. It was just 15 minutes of pure action.
Yeah, I love that match.
They went bananas. That match was so good.
It might be my match of the night, actually.
It was pretty damn good. And then we had Okada over Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita in a four-way, which was okay. Mercedes Moné beating Hikaru Shida for the TBS title was okay.
Yeah, standard.
Bryan Danielson over Jack Perry. That match, it didn't blow me away. It wasn't my favorite Bryan Danielson match. I don't know if Jack Perry really showed up in the way that he needed to in this one. And really what I'm left with as an impression of the match was the post-match stuff with Moxley and Wheeler and Claudio and everything there, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Hangman and Swerve was a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. So I think looking at this card up and down and really evaluating, we had some matches that were amazing and some matches that kind of missed the mark. And because of that, I think I'm going to rate this pay-per-view an 8 on 10, but that's still a pretty high rating. I mean, what do we give Bash in Berlin, a 6?
Yeah.
WWE's premium live events are not touching AEW's pay-per-views these days. AEW, as far as a quality perspective, is delivering much higher quality pro wrestling than in WWE. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
You look at their big shows, that they do, on a consistent basis, AEW is topping what WWE is doing. The only time WWE starts to kind of break away from AEW is when they get their big stars all aligned, working for them at the same time. Like when Roman and The Rock are both working and they're involved in big things, then WWE starts to become...
They got some depth.
They got more appealing. But right now, since WrestleMania... which is now, since early April, we're now in September, AEW has been killing WWE.
Yeah.
It's 5 months now where AEW has been the far superior wrestling product. If WWE's happy with, running wrestling for 3 or 4 months of the year and then AEW being the better product for the rest of the 9 months, fine, but I don't know if that's sustainable over 4 or 5 years once the wrestling audience gets conditioned to the rest of the stuff is not that great.
Yeah, eventually, people...
You might start to change the channel more.
The honeymoon with Triple H will eventually go.
Yeah. So this pay-per-view was really good, and it follows up another pay-per-view from AEW All In, which was also really good. They're killing it. So it's an 8 on 10 for me. Harold Schneider dropping the super chat. He says an 8.5 on 10. One of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a while. He doesn't watch them all, but definitely great rating, and he enjoyed this pay-per-view. Harold Schneider dropping the $8.5 super chat for the 8.5 on 10 pay-per-view. I think that's a solid move there from Harold, member of the team supporting over at join.ringsidereport.net, just like Angelo Contagonis. What's up, Angelo? Patrick Deneau supporting over at membership.ringsidereport.net. However you do it, thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network, like Harold Schneider, like CSL Lauren, like Angelo and Patrick, and everybody else tuning in around the world here on the Ringside Report Network. So it's an 8 for me. What do you think? What's your score here?
I think I might bump up an extra half point to 8.5. I feel like, there's 4 matches of really, really high quality, and even the other matches that, a little dragged down a bit, but weren't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Like Mercedes and Hikaru, it was a good match, but just, felt like a good Dynamite match. But it was still good. It was still like solid. Same with the Bucks. It was just, just the placement on the card and everything.
It just didn't feel that important.
No. And it's like we got a 4-hour pay-per-view here, like sometimes things could be left on the editing room floor.
Yeah. It would have been better with a 3-hour pay-per-view if you cut a couple matches.
Yeah. Yeah, then might be like
might have been a 10.
One of the best pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will give the half point to the overall quality of the card, and also I was a little incredulous. I was like, 2 weeks after such a huge pay-per-view, like this is kind of a stupid move. They should stop doing this. And then they kind of just show up, and they kind of like, they prove a reason for having this card. And
I think this pay-per-view and the Willow Statlander match have the same vibe in the sense that you go, why are we still doing this? What's going on? And then you show up on the night, and it's like, oh, I see why we're doing this, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, All Out, I'm like, come on. We just had All In a week and a half ago. What are we doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of drama there. Brian won the championship.
It's enough.
And Ospreay and MJF had the crazy match.
I wasn't hyped for this
Wembley with all the people. It's like...
Yeah. It was huge.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that excited for this show, but I sit down, I start watching it. MJF comes out with that awesome video package where he's just beating up Daniel Garcia, and I go, oh, okay, I'm into this. And then MJF comes out, and MJF opening a show, he's a big star. He's great to see.
Yeah.
I love that guy. And the match was kick-ass again with Daniel Garcia. And it opened strong, and I'm like, okay, I'm into this. And then all the way through, it's just a very good pay-per-view. They hook you in, man. They know what they're doing. They've got great wrestling. AEW, where the best wrestle and murder. They sometimes murder, possibly drug. What was in the thing that Hangman stabbed Swerve with?
Was it just a needle just to hurt him, or?
It seemed to be he injected him with something.
Yeah, like they didn't. They could have said like, oh, it's like some kind of like knockout drug or something.
I don't know what it was. Was it a drug? Was it the HIV virus? What did he do to him?
If you want to keep pushing the envelope.
What the hell happened there? Swerve attacked Hangman before the cage could even lower. They tried to push each other's heads down as the cage was lowering. They tried to crush each other and murder each other pretty early on in the match. There was a threat of murder. There were weapons tossed into the ring before the cage was lowered. Nana was around the ring tossing some weapons in there. And then immediately there's a staple gun, and they're just stapling the chest of Swerve. And then Swerve gets the staple gun away from Hangman, and he staples Hangman a few times, and then he staples a family photo in his chest, and it's like, I guess, a photo that he took from the wreckage of the house that Hangman burnt down. So it's one of Swerve's family photos, and he wants revenge. And then he staples it not once, but twice into Hangman's face. And you see the picture there, and he goes, ch-ch-ch, and then he goes, ch-ch-ch, another one. And you're like, and then he rips it out of his face. And then Hangman comes up and he's bleeding, and it's not a blade job. It's because he just got staples ripped out of his face. And then Swerve is just like looking at his own chest, and he's picking the staples out and just tossing them like, you think this hurts me? Pah. And he's bleeding. It was horrific.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. The fact that they're willing to do this stuff, the fact that they're tough enough to do this stuff, they got the balls to do this stuff. It's incredible. These guys are tough. They're wild. They're out of control. They're out of control pro wrestlers. The stuff they're willing to do to each other every time they wrestle, especially in one of these matches, it just blows my mind. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
I've seen hardcore deathmatch wrestling and stuff, but it's a different level. There's like real story and real heat.
And they can do some like pretty crazy athletic moves.
They combine it with the big bumps and the athleticism, the power bombs that are just devastating.
I love Mick Foley, but he couldn't do the Deadeye.
That's it. Like they move like top level pro wrestlers, and they're also willing to do hardcore violent deathmatch stuff.
It's like if Nick Gage could wrestle like AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's what is going on here, and something about their chemistry too.
Yeah, they trust each other.
The only problem I had with this match was when Hangman was smacking Swerve with the chair, And then the referee kind of like stopped him, was like, "Oh, stop, don't do this anymore."
And it was a prolonged thing. It felt like maybe Swerve missed a cue to attack Hangman because it was just going for a little bit too long.
Yeah, and then eventually the ref kind of distracted Hangman for Swerve to run in and kick Hangman in the head. But it's like, why is the referee stopping Hangman? This is a lights out match. This is anything goes.
Yeah.
Why would you stop the attack? You either stop the match or don't.
And then the referee bent down to pick up the chair.
And Swerve jumped off of
like
him.
a poetry in motion thing. So it's just like that kind of took me out. I think I mean it's a little bit nitpicky, but I think that spot also wasn't too big at the opening spot of like the cage coming down in their heads, and then you could see them peeking up to make sure they weren't really going to get hurt.
Yeah,
that takes it down for
they
me
have
a
to.
bit. Yeah,
they have to.
I know, but
Because if it does like kind of start descending on them and crush their skull, then they die.
I know.
They can't actually die.
But
I mean, as close as they seem to want to come to dying, they can't. They know they can't actually die.
I know, but it was just a bit too much.
Okay.
And so I think my match of the night would maybe be the Chicago Street Fight.
Okay. I think this is my match of the night is going to be this one, the lights out steel cage match. Swerve hitting that vertebreaker on the cinder block.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Come on, man. And immediately, it's like when you see some of those bumps, you know, they go through something and you go, that looked rough. But when you see the result of the impact immediately, Swerve hits this vertebreaker on Hangman on the cinder block, and then immediately there's this big gash scratch all down Hangman's back from crashing down on that cinder block. Like the immediate violence that you saw, the staple in the chest, blood pulled out, the staple in the head, blood coming. Swerve was leaking blood from his head. He was just, both of these guys, a bloody mess. Swerve stabbing Hangman with like a burnt piece of wood at one point in the head. And then Hangman hits a low blow, then a power bomb on the cinder block, which was like, he power bombed him right on that thing. Then he power bombed him from the top rope because Swerve was climbing the cage, right?
Yeah.
And then he power bombed him off the top of like Hangman's standing on the top rope. Like a lot of times you power bomb off the top rope, the guy's on the second and your opponent's on the top rope. But Hangman was standing on the top rope, so Swerve was like even higher, and he power bombed him from the top. Like it was nuts, man.
That's nuts.
And then the finish came when he removed Swerve's grill, his teeth there. Then he stabbed him in the cheek with a needle. I don't know where he found that needle from.
I think it was in the bag, and I think it had a cap on it before.
Okay.
But still.
And then he injected something with
hoping
him.
it was sterilized.
Broke a chair over his head, and then the referee stops the match. Sorry, the match.
It better have been sterilized.
Hangman wins in a crazy, like, what the hell? Are we going to find out what he stabbed him with? Like, what was in the needle?
Maybe they'll say in the promo.
I have never seen anybody stab another guy with a needle and inject something in his mouth or in any part of his body ever in pro wrestling before.
At least
I don't know if that's ever
I've
been
heard about
done.
it backstage, but
I know that Terry Funk put a plastic bag over Ric Flair's head in the WCW days a long time ago and tried to kill him that way. So what John Moxley did to Bryan Danielson is not unprecedented, but the Hangman thing may have been unprecedented. I have not seen that before. It was pretty crazy. Hangman going through great lengths to finally beat Swerve. Hangman gets the win. And I think completes my night of 100% predictions on AEW All Out, which is very rare for me. I don't usually predict all the matches correctly, but I'm pretty sure I got them all here on this show. I also hit my UFC parlay as well. Team Dave cashed in. Andre Petrosky and Sean Brady both winning. I gave you a 2-fight parlay on Thursday. So all my predictions this weekend have come through, which is not a big surprise for me. I shouldn't be surprised because I predicted that they would all win, and then they did. That's how it should go. I didn't actually even bet on the UFC parlay, which I'm kind of regretting because it would have been nice. A little extra money, but I think Antoinette said she was betting my parlay on Thursday night, so hopefully Antoinette did bet the parlay, and she won some money. And that's really what we do it for. We do it for the members who support the channel like Antoinette.
Do it
for the people.
We try to give them winning picks so that they know. You know.
And if he's watching, you do it for The Rock.
I do it. I always do it for The Rock. I love The Rock.
He's like taking notes. He's like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. AJ says it was close. AJ's only saying that because he picked the other guy who lost and his parlay did not win. AJ chiming in the chat. It was close. It was close. Shut up, AJ. Your parlay lost again. My parlay won again. I think my parlay didn't my parlay win on the Cannonier Borrayo fight too. I think I won. The Team Dave parlay won at the last UFC Vegas card. And then again, 2 weeks later, I just cashed in. It's 2 UFC cards in a row when my parlay is winning, AJ. And then 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 UFC cards in a row. Who knows how many in a row where yours loses. So let's not talk shit over there.
Jabroni parlays.
But yeah, yes, jabroni-ass parlays that always lose. Mine always win because I give you solid bets. And you double your money every single weekend with me. Like, come on, guys. Let's be real. I mean, I can't say every weekend. I'm realistic, unlike AJ, who's like, I'm going to win. And he always loses. You know, I'm like, these are my picks. I think these are, going to win, and we'll see. And, yeah, I mean, most of the time, I would say 7 out of 10 weekends, it's a winning weekend. Once in a while, you're going to lose. It's part of the game. Can't win them all.
That's right.
But AJ believes he does win them all. AJ says, got lucky tonight. You didn't get no. I didn't get lucky, AJ. I just made smart bets. I picked 2 favorites that should win, and they won. I just picked 2, solid winners. You went, all over the board, which happens. AJ bet on a 38-year-old guy who lost like 2 or 3 in a row. And he bet against a 31-year-old up-and-comer who was the favorite in the main event, who had won like 4 or 5 in a row. I was just like, come on.
The result was as expected?
Yeah, the guy who was younger and had a win streak going won. Which usually happens. Like, it wasn't rocket science. AJ's like,
I must admit.
But I must admit you got the W.
I must admit.
Yeah, you have to admit I got the W because it's true. AJ is the type of guy who'll argue facts. Once in a while, though, he'll admit that facts are true when they go against him. Yeah. Like, very rarely. Like, if a fact goes against...
But he's doing you a favor.
If a fact goes against AJ, he'll argue it. Super chat. Like, he's that type of dude, right? But, yeah, it's like he's doing me a favor when he admits a fact, right? Outrageous. Just an outrageous character. Catch him every Thursday on Ringside Report MMA, 8 p.m. here. Doug Hepburn says, Ringside Report for life. Thank you, Doug, for dropping that super chat. Just an outrageous little detour here on the AEW All Out post show where murder occurred. Lots of murder. Let's go to your match of the night. Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. This match had no business being as good as it was. Just wild. They went so crazy.
Yeah.
They did so much. What shocked me, at first was Statlander putting Willow through the Spanish announce table with a powerbomb because those AEW announce tables never break.
No, they're pretty durable.
Never break. They put people through regular tables, but not the announce table. And Statlander put Willow through the announce table, which was pretty cool. And then she set Willow up on a table. This was probably the bump of the night.
Yeah.
Where she sets Willow up on the table. Statlander goes to the top rope and does a swanton. And Willow kind of moves out of the way, but doesn't fully move out of the way.
The angle of the table's a bit off. Yeah.
Statlander crashes through the table, but not fully. It still breaks, but most of her back kind of broke the table, and then her tailbone and her ass just kind of landed on the mat. It was a devastating fall, and then her feet and legs, her calves kind of hit Willow as she was trying to get away. It was the damnedest thing you'd ever see. It was crazy, man.
The thumbtacks.
I mean, yeah, they had tacks. But then right after that
they went on the ramp. The stuff on the ramp.
Willow pounced Statlander through the barricade like immediately after that.
That was crazy.
It was a crazy spot. The pounce was like, oh, God. Like, it was devastating. Good God almighty, pal. That Jezebel. Lots of bumps on the stage, like suplex after suplex on the hard stage. They tackled each other
off the tables off the stage.
Willow smashing light tubes over
that light tube
Statlander's head.
Smash was huge.
It was crazy.
That was a pretty big smash.
It's just like, oh, what the hell does she have? Oh, what is that? Psh, right over her head. You're like, that was light tubes. And then, like, Willow's celebrating, Statlander's blading, you know? Statlander comes up bleeding, of course. But her back was legit bleeding from the light tubes.
Yeah.
Real glass.
Cry me a river.
Thank you. And then they Statlander spearing Willow off the stage through a couple tables. Like, they just... Everything they did, it was 15 minutes, but it's like there was no downtime in between anything.
They
It
just
was
kept
just like
hitting high spots.
big over. It was nuts.
It was great.
It was nuts. And then Statlander, they had thumbtacks. Statlander, when she went to do the kind of the split.
Oh God.
The split leg drop on Willow, but Willow moved out of the way, so Statlander just did the splits onto thumbtacks, and she had like thumbtacks in her ass and who knows where else.
That's gotta be tough because okay, I'm gonna do the spot now where I'm about to do the splits on a bunch of thumbtacks.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I gotta like sell this like I'm doing this by accident.
Oh God.
You know, you can't like stop yourself.
And of
to
course,
be like,
the big question is who gets to take the thumbtacks out of Statlander's ass?
medical professional.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you gotta make sure it's clean.
That's not like a fan contest.
No.
Oh,
Maybe in the 90s. The ECW would have done that.
that's right.
Like, hey, Dawn Marie.
Who wants to take the tax out of Dawn Marie's ass?
I'm Paulie.
Polly.
Hey.
ECW.
Extreme.
We treat our fans right, not like Eric Bischoff.
I don't think I've ever heard your Paul.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't have current Heyman really,
Yeah.
but I have like
90s.
evil 90s, like over the top Heyman. Oh God, Eric Bischoff.
WCW.
He hated those guys for some
Yeah.
reason because Vince told him to because he was paying them.
Yeah.
Listen, Paul, don't ever talk shit about me because I'm gonna give you money, but talk shit about that Bischoff.
Yeah.
Don't talk shit about Turner too much. Just go after Bischoff. I hate that guy. And then Statlander wrapped her and Willow together with a chain, which was kind of awkward. I mean, you want to talk about awkward moments, right? Like,
Oh yeah, trying to put it on.
like she was like asking the ref to help her put it on Willow, and the ref's like, I can't help you do that. She was like, ugh. And so she put it on Willow herself. It took a little while, and then she tries to put it on herself, and she was struggling.
Y'all help me.
And and she's like, help me, I don't need this right now. And the ref's like, all right, I'll help you do it. She was kind of in character, but
But
she
a
was
little
kind
bit
of
like, come on, man, this is the last spot. We gotta like finish this.
can we fucking, you just help me put this thing
Yeah.
on? I can't do it one-handed. It's hard. I don't know if they practiced that or not, but in the moment, it didn't quite work. But it did allow for the finish, which they needed to wrap Willow's face around with the chain and kind of really pull back. I mean, that chain was in Willow's teeth and her lips. And Willow, I guess, tapped out. She was kind of going like this, like no, but
She tapped once on the thing, but
I guess
the
she
ref
tapped.
called it. Yeah.
and then Statlander won with that move. It was a pretty wild Chicago street fight. It was awesome.
Yeah, I like that match.
I loved it. So that was your match of the night?
Yeah.
My match of the night is Hangman versus Swerve. His match of the night is Statlander versus Willow. What is your match of the night in the chat here? What was your number one match that you saw at AEW All Out? We're split here.
Yeah.
On the panel, we are split between two violent matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two very violent matches that really made All Out a memorable show. Shout out to Andy Burrows out in England.
Oh.
Watching us late night, says watching the GOATs from day one. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Andy. I wonder what Andy's match of the night was, or match of the morning. I guess top of the morning to Andy. That show going late for him. Going late for us. You know, they're 5 hours ahead, so it's about 5 a.m. over there in Andyland.
Sunrise.
Yeah, almost 6. So match of the night. I want to know what your match of the night is in the chat. Let me know. Did you watch this pay-per-view? What was your favorite match? I think it's interesting that we are split. Was it one of our matches that we picked, the Hangman Swerve for me, the Statlander Willow for him, or was it another match perhaps? Was it Daniel Garcia versus MJF? The big epic video entrance for MJF, the Thank Me Later banner, which is becoming a new catchphrase for MJF. Pick up on that. That's going to be He's going to be saying that more and more. The "I'm better than you and you know it" is done. It's thank me later from now until the next one. It's an evolution. Nice.
The evolution.
He came out with his nice, thick, lustrous hair, looking real thick hair. Daniel Garcia attacked MJF before the bell. Some really rough moves in this match, including that inside-outside vertical suplex spot where Garcia lifts MJF, and then MJF tries to MJF lifted up Garcia, and then Garcia reverses it in the air, and MJF's neck just kind of snapped over as he fell out of the ring. Scary stuff. Looked like he could have broken his neck just on that. Scary stuff for Daniel Garcia as well. MJF went for the big powerbomb on the knee, but he missed his leg and just spiked Garcia down. It was like, oh, shit. He spikes him, and it's supposed to kind of hit the leg to stop the blow, but because he missed the leg, it just went boom, spike on the mat. It was pretty rough. Garcia had a crimson mass, bleeding all over the place. MJF had a bit of a stain on his butt, and there were some brown marks in the ring. I'm not sure if it was dried blood or poop.
Or bronzer.
But they were kind of like, it looked like pieces of something in the ring at one point. There was talk on Twitter, like, we looked and we're like, what is happening?
And then,
did MJF poop himself? And then we looked online, and we were not the only ones asking that question. So I think it's a legitimate question. I don't know if they're doing a press conference. I don't know if anybody's going to ask.
Did you poop?
But I would definitely ask either MJF or Tony Khan, was there a poop incident here in this match? Because there was talk. We weren't the only ones to notice this. Other people were asking, did MJF shit himself at All Out?
We were chanting, did he poop? Did he poop?
Did he poop? We're also chanting,
bloody
poop.
Bloody poop.
Which is a great chant. I think the American audiences and the Canadian audiences should embrace that chant that the Europeans are doing.
It's fantastic.
Pretty good. When they do Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes.
They did it for Tony Storm, too.
Tony Storm. Like, it's a good chant, and we should do it.
Yeah, like, we should chant, like, Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Sami Zayn would be a good one. Roman
Reigns.
Reigns. Roman Reigns.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing this already?
Yeah. OTC, like, come on.
Yeah, OTC is whack. Roman Reigns.
OTC sounds like motor oil.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. Don't chant OTC. Sing Roman Reigns. That's what you got to do. I'm telling you. That is the chant. Fire chant. Those Europeans know what's up.
They know the disco.
Patrick Deneau says, great show, guys. My match of the night is the unsanctioned cage match, but the street fight was so good as well. AEW is great for wrestling. It really is. It really is. Andy Burrow says, I'd rather watch paint dry than AEW. That is surprising, because it really is the best pro wrestling going right now. As far as between the ropes, it's killing WWE. So I'm a little bit surprised by that, because this pay-per-view, again, fantastic. Just as good as All In. Maybe not quite as good as All In, but pretty damn close. It didn't have the Bryan Danielson moment there. The Bryan Danielson match was what it was, but it was really the post-match stuff that impressed me. Bryan hit an amazing springboard senton splash to the outside on Jungle Boy. That was nuts. Kicking the hell out of Perry's chest and then butterfly suplexing him off the apron to the floor was pretty impressive. The execution on that was really nice. Sorry, just before I jump to the Bryan Danielson thing, there was a post-match thing with Garcia and MJF. MJF went to shake hands with Daniel Garcia after a hard-fought match, but then he went to kick him, but Garcia saw it coming and kick MJF in the balls, and then he spit in MJF's face and gave him a pile driver off the second rope, and then he kissed a lifeless MJF and exited through the crowd. So Garcia did get the last laugh there in that match. But back to Bryan and Jack Perry. At one point, Bryan goes to kick Perry a running kick from the corner, but Perry pulled the referee in front of him, which resulted in Bryan bumping the ref. The Young Bucks came out, attacked Bryan Danielson. hit their finish on Bryan Danielson, like really beat him up.
Yeah, they hit the Meltzer driver.
And they had time. And then eventually Claudio and Wheeler showed up and chased off the Young Bucks, but it took them a while.
Yeah.
Which, if nothing else happened afterwards, you'd go, why did it take him so long? But now we kind of know, maybe they took a while for a reason. They didn't mind if they beat up Bryan Danielson a little bit. Because Bryan eventually was able to fight out and hit his Busaiku knee on Jack Perry to get the 1-2-3 and retain the AEW World Championship. He was then attacked by the Luchasaurus, a.k.a. Kill Switch, and then, which was kind of a cool moment because he attacked him, and you're like, is he here because of the Jungle Boy, because they used to be friends, or is he here for another reason? And then Christian came out, and Christian had his AEW title shot contract,
Money in the Bank,
which I guess is the AEW Money in the Bank that he could have maybe cashed in at that point. But Jon Moxley was there kind of standing between Christian and his group. So Moxley seemingly still with Bryan. But then Claudio, Wheeler, and Pac came out to stand with Moxley too. So Christian kind of didn't go in the ring. They kind of backed away. And then Moxley and the whole Blackpool Combat Club guys, they all come and they hug Bryan and they celebrate and everybody's happy. And then Claudio just did a European uppercut on Bryan Danielson and drops him. And Bryan looks up like, what the hell, man? And then Moxley attacks Bryan and puts a plastic bag over his head and, like, chokes him to death.
And Marina Shafir shows up. She's all like, you don't know me.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know me.
And you don't know me.
And then Wheeler Utah was like, what the hell's going on? And Pac was like holding him back, like, no, don't do anything. And Wheeler was like crying and sad. He didn't fight Pac that hard. He didn't like throw a punch or anything.
He was like, no, what are you doing? Come on, guys.
Why didn't he like fight and take a beating?
Yeah.
He's like mad, but not that mad.
He'll still be with the group, I guess.
Is he still with the group? Like, I don't. Wheeler's reaction was a little odd because he seemed really upset, but not upset enough to throw a punch at Pac.
Yeah, like you should start being like, ah!
Yeah, he didn't go bananas. He was just like, sad Wheeler, which doesn't make Wheeler look great. So I guess these jerks turned on Bryan Danielson.
Is he crying? Yes, he is.
Yeah. And the fans chanted, this is murder.
Yeah.
After that. As the Blackpool Combat Club exited, I think without Wheeler. Wheeler was there trying to help Bryan. They were giving him oxygen, trying to help him feel better. And the fans chanting, this is murder, was funny. What you're referencing there. So that match was okay, but it's really the post-match stuff, and I guess now we're headed towards Bryan beating up all those guys. He's going to go kill
he'll probably
them.
wrestle Moxley in a bloody match.
I think the next step at this point with AEW is for Bryan to show up at Moxley's house with a gun.
Yeah.
Hold Renee hostage, threaten to shoot Moxley.
Bree gets involved.
No, I don't have to involve Bree. Just, do kind of like a mock Stone Cold to Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
Except it's Bryan Danielson doing it to Jon Moxley. Do something like that. It's AEW's version of Stone Cold and Pillman. Bryan shows up to Moxley's house with a gun, although that's kind of unlike Bryan. Bryan shows up to Moxley's house with an axe.
Yeah.
Because he's from, Washington.
He chops wood.
He's got an axe, and he just starts chopping shit, just breaking shit.
Like The Shining.
Maybe he chops one of Moxley's legs off.
He says, like, here's Johnny.
Yeah, he chops a leg off. And then Moxley just wrestles with, a prosthetic leg for the rest of his career because he's really dedicated to the business, brother.
So it's the gimmick.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to sacrifice. How much you're willing to sacrifice, okay? Chris Statlander took hold on. I want to say this, but it's going to take me a second. Chris Statlander did the splits at the thumbtacks and got goddamn thumbtacks in her vagina tonight for the business. What are you willing to sacrifice, Jon Moxley? She took thumbtacks up her vagina tonight. She's pulling goddamn thumbtacks out of her vagina and ass. Well, you do the splits on thumbtacks and see if you don't get thumbtacks in your scrotum, pal. What are you willing to sacrifice for the business, Jon Moxley? Are you willing to be an amputee or not for the wrestling business, brother? This is AEW, where the best wrestle and the other guys murder each other.
I owe you one, pal.
Exactly.
A leg, that is.
goddamn thumbtacks in the vagina. I'm not gonna say the other word. I wanted to say it, but it's too rude. I don't want to be that crude. But come on, man. She's doing the splits and the thing. I mean,
they were there.
If
They
that
were
was
in
a
that
dude,
area.
if it was a dude doing the splits, I would say the same thing. This guy's got thumbtacks pulling him out of his penis right now.
Oh,
Imagine penis thumbtacks.
I mean,
Some
people
dudes,
do get piercings.
They get a piercing.
You know,
I guess for some dudes, a penis thumbtack doesn't sound that painful. To the rest of us, sounds like some of the worst shit that could happen to you.
yeah.
So prayers up to Chris Statlander. I hope all your bits and bobs are doing all right. Bob Wire.
Oh boy.
Bob Wire. Taz kept talking about some guy called Bob Wire tonight. I'm like, who's Bob Wire? Oh, that's just the accent. Hey, Bob Wire. He's got a lot of Bob Wire.
It was turning the lights out.
Bob Wire. And at one point, they said barbed wire so much, they were just going Bob Wire. Bob Wire. I'm like, is that a word anymore? Bob Wire?
Former St. Louis Cardinal Mark Baboyer.
Bark Bob Wire.
Legendary.
Legendary home run hitter, Bark Bob Wire. Bob Wire. Hey, it's Bob Wire. Taz.
But yeah,
He's from New York.
I made a reference to Tony Schiavone at one point during
Oh,
the Swerve
yeah.
match. He was kind of crying.
Swerve was crying.
And like
Why was
JR,
Swerve crying?
it was like emotional. I think he was thinking about his house and like all he's been through.
Yeah, he
and
was
JR
emotional.
was setting it up, just being like, Swerve now caught in the emotion, thinking about all that he's been through in his family. And then Tony Schiavone just pipes up and goes, "Is he crying? Yes, he is."
No, I think no.
No?
No. I think Excalibur was like, "Oh, is he crying?"
Oh,
And like they were all serious. Like,
okay.
JR's like building up, like, "Oh man, Swerve Strickland, he's gone through a lot. The emotions getting to him. He's really feeling the pain from
was
his
Excalibur.
childhood home." And then Excalibur's like, "Oh yeah, JR. Oh, is he crying right now?"
Okay.
And then Shivani goes, "Yes, he is." It's like, what? Why are you exclaiming in joy that he's crying? It's almost like, "Yes, he is. What a bitch.
Yeah,
Fuck you, Swerve.
What a big baby.
Crying. Ooh, boo-hoo, Swerve.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha." Like JR's feeling all bad. Excalibur's doing sympathy. And is he crying? Yes, he is. What a loser.
Yeah, let's laugh at
It
him.
was a weird reaction from Tony Schiavone.
Undercut everything.
And it cracked us up pretty good
Yeah.
because it's like all emotional. That is he crying? Yes, he is. Shivani seemed very happy that he was crying. They all seemed concerned except Shivani. Shivani's like, "Fuck Swerve. He's a bitch."
I love Shivani.
It was fucking crazy. It's Sting. Like with the same
Yeah.
joy as seeing Sting. It was like, "Yes, he is crying. Oh shit. What a pussy." Like, what the fuck? What are you doing, Shivani? Crazy. What a weird guy.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weird guy.
All right, what else happened on this show? Kazuchika Okada beat Orange Cassidy. Mark Briscoe and Konosuke Takeshita hit the Rainmaker on Orange to retain his Continental title. I thought we might see a title change in this match, but we didn't. Because I thought pay-per-view, you're going to see at least one title change, but we didn't. Not one. And it was still a good show.
Yeah, this match was all right, but it was just a good Dynamite match. Like, it just not too memorable.
Nothing that special. Mercedes Moné beating Hikaru Shida, kind of the same deal. She
Yeah.
beat her. Match was good, but it wasn't, could have been the main event of Dynamite.
Yeah.
Okada's match could have been the opener of Dynamite. It wasn't really pay-per-view quality. It was fine. It was what it was. Will Ospreay Pac, pay-per-view quality.
Yeah,
That match was fantastic. Ospreay hit a nasty powerbomb on Pac. Pac hit a sick German suplex on the apron that folded Ospreay in half.
All the Poison Ranas.
The Poison Ranas.
There's
So
like
many
3 of
Poison
them?
Ranas.
He hit on Ospreay tonight? Or he tried,
Yeah.
Or the third one Ospreay backflipped out of?
Ospreay backflipped out of the third one, but he hit one on the apron, one in the ring, and they were both devastating.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay takes every bump directly on his head and neck. I don't know how he does it.
All that tape.
It's like we watch the match, and you're like, they are human, right?
Yeah.
How does he survive this? And I'm really not sure with Will Ospreay. I think with pain and injury, because he's had neck injuries before, and he's still doing wild stuff. And like I told you,
Yeah.
like he has toned it down.
Less crazier.
It's a toned down style from Will Ospreay, but even a toned down Will Ospreay is still nuts. And when he's going in there with Pac, it is incredible. Like that match could be match of the night. I wouldn't be surprised if my man Johnny North gives that match of the night because he's more into, like, if you are more concerned with like a straight up wrestling match and not kind of all the gimmicks and the blood and the guts and all that stuff, which I understand. I think that's a fair way of looking at pro wrestling. Then this should be your match of the night.
As far as
either this or Garcia and MJF.
Yeah. The bloody poop.
God damn, we had some good matches tonight.
Yeah.
We had some kick-ass matches. The only thing I didn't like about this match is at one point Will Ospreay fell on top of Pac, and Pac's shoulders were down, but Ospreay's shoulders were also on the mat, and Ospreay or Pac kicked out or lifted a shoulder. It didn't kick, but lifted a shoulder at 2, and Ospreay didn't. So it seemed to me like Ospreay would have just lost that match at that point, but that's not how they counted it. Ref Aubrey, she sucks. She's not a good referee. I think she's the worst referee in all of AEW.
Oh, yeah.
Pac eventually, though, did take the hidden blade from Will Ospreay, and that was the cover. 1, 2, 3. Ospreay retaining the AEW International Championship. So the titles retained here tonight on AEW All Out. The Young Bucks retaining their tag team titles. Will Ospreay retaining the international title. Kazuchika Okada retaining the Continental Championship. Mercedes Moné still the TBS champion. Bryan Danielson, of course, still the world champion in AEW. Not a single title change on this fantastic card that was AEW's All Out. Moxley can't be the one to retire Danielson, can he?
I hope not after tonight's
display.
Yeah, like that's how it starts,
It was shocking and appalling.
Yeah, it was a bit too much. I don't know.
I don't like the plastic bag over the head. And even because Rick, even if Flair and Funk did it.
I don't remember it,
I don't remember it, and it doesn't mean you have to do it again. Just because Flair and Funk did something doesn't mean everything Flair and Funk did was in good taste and needs to be repeated. There are some things that they did, especially, outside the ring, but, inside the ring too. There are some things that those guys did that you don't need to do yourself. But maybe Moxley is not quite clear on that.
And is this one of those things that's just that's just something that people can kind of do easily at home, it's hey, I'm John Moxley, I'm gonna put a plastic, and
it's really not safe.
Yeah.
And at one point he had to kind of lift the bag, so that Bryan could breathe.
Yeah, because it's not that long. You could be in a bag like that.
That's it. You can't actually do that. So he had to kind of. He had to make it look fake and lift the bag so Bryan could clearly breathe at a certain point. At the beginning, it was oh, shit, could you, ease
Bryan's
up?
Eyes are looking a little bit bulgy.
It was looking bad, and then he gave him space to breathe because Bryan, I think, was yo, come on.
Yeah, come on, man. I just wrestled a match, too. I'm a little
gassed here and sweaty. Could you not do this? And so he, gave him some space, but that space, when you're watching it, you go, oh, well, he's breathing. He's fine. He's just kind of in a bag. And then they leave, and then he's on oxygen and all this stuff, and you're all right, well, he's okay. Yeah. So it's grotesque, it's too much, and in the end, you kind of go, it didn't really deliver because it's kind of he didn't really do anything. He's fine, it's whatever. But it's just the image of Bryan trying to breathe and do all that is kind of all right.
Yeah.
It was just unnecessary. It was unnecessary. Jason Pete just jumping in. What did I miss? You missed attempted murder tonight on the show. You missed Hangman Page trying to murder Swerve. He injected Swerve in the cheek with some sort of injection, some sort of needle. And John Moxley tried to murder Bryan Danielson by wrapping his head in a plastic bag after the whole Blackpool Combat Club, except for Wheeler, Utah, turned on Bryan Danielson. So I guess these guys are part of Moxley's new group, or this is the Blackpool Combat Club now? I'm not sure.
They got to change the name.
It seemed to me like Moxley was breaking off and doing his own thing with Marina Shafir, and he's ooh, Darby Allin, I want to talk. He wanted Darby Allin to be part of a new group or something. But now he's still got Pac. He's got Pac and Claudio with him. He's dropped Wheeler. What's the deal with Darby? Why does he want to talk to Darby? I think Darby might help Bryan, if anything. Yes, Jason, with a syringe. He's wait, what? With a syringe? Yeah, it was shocking. I've never seen anything like this. It was nuts. Like,
Yeah, it was
when you
gross.
retell this story to people, they'll be like, what?
Yeah, like,
They did what?
What are you talking about?
Watching it unfold, it was like, what the hell is
It's
going
got
on?
a needle?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a hypodermic needle.
It was really shocking. But now Moxley seems to have this, like, new group
Yeah.
that Pac is in, I guess. Like, Pac was just part of these guys because he kind of joined up with them with the trios
Lucha
title.
Brothers left. And
But
so
now that they've made this move, and Pac clearly knew about it, and Wheeler didn't, because Pac was like holding him back, like, no, this is what we're doing here, pal.
Yeah.
Like, what's that about? So Pac is clearly part of this new group with Moxley and Claudio and Marina Shafir. What's the story with Wheeler? Are they the Blackpool Combat Club? Maybe they can drop that name finally, which
Please.
would make sense, and have a new name for this new group. You know, and then you figure out what Bryan's going to do with all this and where Darby fits in. Because Darby is supposed to wrestle Bryan for the world title at the end of September in New York on a Dynamite. He's got a title shot for the Grand Slam Dynamite show. Moxley's on TV saying, I want to talk to you, Darby, just talk. And then he's attacking Bryan. So what's the story with Moxley? Where does he fit in? Like, is he on Team Darby? Is he on Team Bryan? Well, he's not on Team Bryan.
No.
Does he want Darby to win? Does he want Darby to align himself? Does he want to beat up Darby? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I was surprised that Moxley and all those guys turned on Bryan, because it seemed like they were just there to save the day and stop Christian and his goons from advancing on him, which was kind of nice. I was like, oh, Bryan's got back up. Hey, this is nice. Bryan's gonna be Bryan's gonna be a strong champion with a whole army of guys to protect him from all the heels trying to get him. And then those guys turned on him, and Bryan's got
It's like, oh no, Cesaro.
Yeah, all those guys just turned on Bryan. How do you turn on Bryan Danielson? What did he do to you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no,
like, what did he do?
like sometimes when a heel turns on the babyface, you go, I can kind of see his perspective. I see why, you know. But here you go, they're just dicks.
Yeah.
Moxley's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, what, the Bryan didn't show up to meetings or something?
Yeah, what did Bryan, like, do to you? Claudio Castagnoli?
Yeah.
John Moxley? Other than help you be better wrestlers? Other than elevate you by standing next to you?
Yeah. Wheeler, Utah.
Yeah,
Well,
Pac.
Wheeler did turn on him. Yeah.
What did Bryan ever do to you guys? So those guys are just dicks. Fuck those guys. I hope Bryan murders those guys. And now that's what we do in AEW.
Puts bags over their faces.
We murder. We stab. We shoot. We put bags over the face. We inject them with drugs
Choke you.
drugs, possibly killer diseases. I think maybe Hangman got the syringe from the Kremlin, and this guy's whole face is gonna fall apart.
Oh yeah, he's got one of those. It's got like a name. That like chemical.
Yeah, I
they
don't
stuffed
know
that guy with.
But that guy that they made his face like all bad, and they like ruined his look and everything. They kill some people with that shit. I mean, what if Hangman got some of that? What if Hangman got some of that evil?
Oh, he's a Russian agent.
Russian poison. Hey, look, a lot of people are being revealed to be Russian agents these days.
Yeah.
Hangman Page apparently was getting paid by this external company $300,000 per wrestling match that he was already doing in AEW.
Yeah, they're just giving him one.
And for some reason, this other company was just giving him money, and Hangman didn't ask any questions about where the money was coming from. And then at a certain point, they're just like, Swerve is getting pretty political, and Hangman's like, what does that have to do with me? And they're like, don't worry about it. Just inject him.
Ukraine.
Just inject him with this syringe in the match, and everything will be cool. And he's like, what? And it's like, do you want this money to keep going? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, well, stop asking questions, Hangman.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens in the podcast world, apparently. I don't know if that happens in the wrestling world, too, but
he's already getting paid. We're gonna give you extra $300.
He's already doing these matches. Here's an extra $300,000 just to do what you're already doing. And you don't ask why? Hey, I'm doing all these. It's like if I was doing this show, right? And somebody was like, hey, keep doing the show. We're going to put it on our website. We're going to give you $100,000 per show you do. I'd be like, amazing. That's great. Who are you? And they'd be like, don't worry about it.
I'm Steve Johnson.
And I would say, fine. And I would take the money, and I would be in the same trouble those other dicks are in.
Yeah.
Same. I would do the same thing. I'm not blaming them. I would do if people offered me $100,000 to do what I'm already doing, it's stupid money for shit like this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course. Of course, you take it. And, you know, if you have morals and values, you may want to investigate where it comes from. But, you know, if you find out and it's not good, do you really want to stop the money train?
Yeah. If you make your image, you know, they'll say whatever.
You know?
They'll be like, hey.
You don't want to rattle the goose. You got to ask me what goose.
Yeah.
Ask me what goose.
What goose?
The one that lays them golden eggs.
Oh, that Clay Davis?
Partner?
The faucet.
Shit.
The money faucet.
The money faucet.
Walk, crawl, then walk.
That's right.
Then run.
I'm ready to run now. Okay, guys. That's what we got for you tonight. We are getting into some dangerous territory that we should not be into, and we will stop right here, right now, with all of this nonsense. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel and showing up here tonight, late night, on a Saturday night to watch the AEW All Out post show here on the Ringside Report Network. I want to wish my boy Johnny North good luck. I'm sure he kicked ass tonight in the wrestling ring, and we'll find out about that on Friday night right after Smackdown, where Cody Rhodes will attempt to have his own steel cage match with Solo Sikoa.
Yeah,
which will no doubt pale in comparison to the steel cage main event that we just saw.
You think they'll try to like incorporate something?
Yeah, I think Cody's going to staple a picture of Dusty to Solo's ass and then pull it off. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
They're not going to go anywhere near what Hangman and Swerve did. It's going to be it's on the USA Network. It's SmackDown.
Someone's going to get the door closed on them. It's like, oh!
Apparently they were
Jacob Fatu.
They were all summoned to a meeting.
Oh, yeah. You're not allowed to swear on camera.
Not to swear on camera. And it's still like a PG show. So you think they're going to be stapling or doing anything that Hangman and Swerve did? I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Such a weak product, man.
Because like so much of like when they're in there and like they kind of have to like hype themselves up a bit, so they have to say like I'm gonna fucking kick her out, you know, like
yeah, but they can't do it anymore for some reason. I mean, they can't do it for the next 3 months, and then once they go on Netflix, like
yeah, wonder what it's gonna be. Like, some people are saying like, oh man, it's gonna be different. Then some people are saying like, it's not gonna be different.
I think it has to be different.
Like, is someone gonna say fuck?
I think the product will be slightly different. I think the product will be like roughly the same, but just the look of it, the feel of it will change. I don't think we're gonna have commercials anymore.
Yeah.
I think the way people watch Raw will change. Like, people will wait more. Like, I don't think as many people will watch it live. Because it's Netflix, right? You're kind of used to just kind of waiting. It's not TV anymore. I think it will get a little bit more adult, a little bit. I'm not sure though.
I don't think it's gonna get sexy.
I feel like
you know,
it's
like,
gonna.
I don't think there'll be nudity or.
I feel like it's gonna be shorter. I feel like there's no way they keep a 3-hour show going. I think they have to make it 2 hours. I haven't heard anything about that.
No.
But I don't see a reason why they would keep it 3 hours because it clearly drags.
Were they doing 3 hours just to get extra commercial revenue?
That's it.
Yeah.
So if that's not an issue anymore, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not on TV and you're not trying to get that extra commercial revenue with that third hour, why do a third hour? It's more work. It drags the show. Everybody agrees that it would be a much tighter product with 2 hours. I don't know what we're waiting for. So I'm hoping that once we go to Netflix, it'll be 2 hours, no commercials, which is 1:45, and then we're in and out. Maybe 2 hours, 5 minutes, because it's a live show and they got to have people in the arena, whatever. But really, if you're in the arena, you see like an hour of pre-show matches, dark matches, whatever. They film main event. You watch your 2 hour Raw and you go home. Yeah. You show up at 7 o'clock. You're there till 10. And you're good. Who wants to sit in an arena for 4 or 5 hours watching wrestling?
Yeah, and come back in the middle of the night on a Monday.
It's ridiculous. On a Monday night, you want to be out of there by 10 o'clock. You don't want to be out of there by 11, 11:30. It's ridiculous. With a dark match, post-show dark match, main event, come on. Unnecessary. WWE needs to tighten up. So hopefully Raw goes to 2 hours, back to 2 hours, like the good old days.
The War Zone, brother.
That's right. They got Raw's War and then the War Zone. Make the War Zone on Netflix a little bit like separate it where you have to have like a parental controls type of thing. Like, this is rated 18+ for the War Zone, and then the War Zone is fucking saucy, baby.
They're stapling onto each other's asses.
Yeah.
Solo.
Yeah. Then you're really getting thumbtacks in the vagina, brother. It's 18 plus.
Diffy time.
Things getting crazy.
My hole.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Pretty Deadly's going to rule that era. I can't wait. They are going to kill it. All right, guys. Now we're really done. Yeah. I'll be back Friday night with Johnny North. I'll be back earlier than that, though. I'll be back Thursday night with Freddie and AJ when we will be previewing UFC 306, UFC at the Sphere. Ooh. Next weekend at the Big Vegas Sphere. Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili in the main event for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. We're going to be previewing that and the rest of the card this coming Thursday night, 8 p.m. on Ringside Report MMA. And then, of course, next Saturday we'll be on when the pay-per-view starts, 10 p.m. Eastern time, to watch the pay-per-view with you for the UFC 306 watch-along. So another big weekend coming up on the Ringside Report Network. Thursday night for the UFC 306 preview. Friday night for Wrestling Uncensored with Johnny North back in action. And then Saturday night again for UFC 306 at the Sphere, the watch-along here on the Ringside Report Network. Thank you for watching our AEW All Out post-show. We'll see you again real soon.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button. Flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time, and have a